If you guys were born in the 90s, then you probably remember CDs and CD players. Man, I can tell you, CDs were the lifeblood of my childhood. If you ever wanted to listen to music, not only did you have to carry a lot of them, you had to carry just about one for every single one of your favorite artists. I also remember that there was like My Jam, yes, that actually existed, your favorite artist on one CD for some jam-packed action. Also remember being on the bus, and if that bus went over any little pebble amongst the street, then yeah, your song would skip, no matter how expensive your CD player was. I'm telling you, nostalgia at its finest. Get yourself a CD player. Some people may be asking, what does this have to do with today's video? Well, synchros are pretty much the exact same thing. They were nostalgic, they were amazing, but unfortunately, just like things of old, things of new come out and make the old things obsolete. In this video, we're gonna be talking about why synchros suck. Even with the Master Roll 2020, there are still some huge problems with the synchro mechanic. I'm gonna be addressing them in this video. I know what you guys are thinking. TheCaliEffect hates synchros. He has a biased agenda against the Synchro Monsters. And it's unfortunate, but that's the furthest thing from the truth. I actually love synchros. Synchros came out when I was in high school, making his debut in the Duelist Genesis set, and easily became some of my favorite cards. My favorite synchro monster is Black Rose Dragon, and it means something really special to me. Coincidentally, all of my friends that I still talk to and hang out with to this day started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In the synchro era. So it means a little bit more for me, kind of like how those CDs were nostalgic, synchros are nostalgic. So for my synchro lovers, I want you guys to post down below in the comment section what is your favorite synchro, as well as a very memorable memory about the synchro era. One of my most memorable times is actually finding out that my baby brother watched Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. That's kind of what got me into Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. One of the biggest reasons why synchro monsters struggle in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that tuners are complete trash. Now, rewinding back to that Duelist Genesis era, tuner monsters had a low bar. I mean, back then, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a lot different of a card game. Monster effects didn't mean much, but if you were to put them in today's Yu-Gi-Oh!, they would probably crumble more often than not. A prime example was Krebins. Krebins was a dark, psychic tuner monster that you could pay 800 life points to negate a monster attack. This card didn't seem like much even back in the synchro era, but was actually pivotal. It was an amazing emergency teleport target, summoning itself to the side of the field for an easy synchro, and it was an Allure of Darkness target. On top of that, it stopped one of the better decks in the format in Gladiator Beast from battling because it could negate the attack. It had the perfect set of effects for the time in its era. If we look now, the same tuners still exist, and there hasn't been really an evolution in tuners. Some of the same tuners of old, like Junk Synchron, are still some of the front-runner tuner cards to this day. That's a huge problem in the synchro equation. Tuner monsters have not evolved into the current Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game where they actually have amazing effects. Now, don't get me wrong, there are monsters like Jet Synchron, a pretty good card allowing you to summon itself from the graveyard to the side of the field, and to Strudel Noodle, a really good card allowing you to summon itself from the hand or graveyard for almost free to your side of the field. Those cards do exist, but the huge problem with that is that those tuner monsters are relatively fair. While I don't restrict you to only synchro summoning for the turn or anything, at the same time, their effects aren't really game-changing on their own. Saying that you're summoning these cards more often than not, you are forced to synchro summon with them just because it would be more advantageous inside of Master Roll 2020. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. TheCaliEffect, you forgot about some of the best tuners in the game. Hand traps. And yes, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is a tuner monster as well as a hand trap. That's pretty cool, but it would be better if hand traps weren't just garbage in Yu-Gi-Oh! I've actually made that a video, so if you want to check out why I think hand traps are not good cards, then go ahead and check it out right there. The real problem with cards like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is that while it is a hand trap and a tuner monster, how many times have you genuinely used Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring for a synchro summon? Don't worry, I'll wait. You found out how many times? 0? That's about the good number. Now granted, there was a point in time where I said Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit was an amazing hand trap because it was a tuner. But you also have to remember you can special summon this card to your side of the field through emergency teleport, and you can still activate its effects on the field, kind of making Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit an outlier to not only hand traps being bad, but also tuner hand traps being bad. The next biggest problem with Synchro Monsters still relies on tuners. Like seriously, I feel like tuners hold Synchros back more than anything. Granted, there are some amazing Synchro Monsters out there, and we'll talk about that a little later, but tuner monsters tremendously holding it back. Imagine having to play a certain CD inside of your CD player to get the certain music that you want. That is legitimately synchro summoning, because now you need these special type of monsters to be able to bring out these synchro monsters to your side of the field. On top of that, those tuner monsters that I just mentioned are very balanced at best. I mean, I think the most unfair tuner monster that we can think of, it's like Glow Bulb. And Glow Bulb, while pretty unfair, is also once per duel and fairly balanced. And then there's Rocket Tracer. Rocket Tracer is like the prime example of balance in Yu-Gi-Oh! And one of the biggest drawbacks don't necessarily rely on synchro monsters requiring tuners and tuners being bad. It's technically the amount of tuners. Some synchro monsters require one tuner plus one non-tuner monster. Other synchro monsters require a synchro tuner monster plus non-tuner monsters. Other synchro monsters require multiple tuner monsters and one non-tuner monster. Just needing specific tuner monsters to summon this specific synchro monster that doesn't do as much as one would hope. It just seems like a bad return on investment. Synchros do have some amazing effects, but unfortunately, needing specific tuners or specific synchro tuners or multiple tuners to be able to summon them to your side of the field generally is too much work for the payoff. The next big problem with Synchro Monsters is pretty much an elephant in the room. Synchro Monsters require a tuner and a non-tuner for most of them. That's perfectly fine. And you have to match up the perfect levels to be able to summon these monsters to your side of the field. Most of the best Synchro Monsters are level 8, and yeah, that is the exact problem. Granted, there are tons of amazing level 4 monsters in the game, but far and few of them have the tuner icon. We can go back to talk about all the good level 4 tuner monsters. Rocket Tracer. The only other one I know is Rose Warrior Revenge, and I can tell you, when that card first came out, it was poppin'. Players were flipping out over a card that had no effect because it was a level 4 tuner monster. And we never wound up playing it. So now that we know that the 4-4 route, the easiest way to summon those level 8 synchros, isn't the most efficient, we have to look at other ways to bring those monsters out. There's the 6-2 method, using a level 6 monster or a tuner 6 monster and a level or tuner 2 monster would be another great route. But then we go through the exact same problem. While level 2 tuners are okay, there's none that really are eye-popping. Same thing with 3 and 5. There are some really good level 3 tuner monsters, but none of them immediately stand out. The best tuner monsters in the card game happen to be level 1 monsters. That would be the best way to make a synchro monster as of making this video. There's one huge problem with that. How are you going to summon a level 7 monster to your side of the field? Now, I know we are in Yu-Gi-Oh! And when I say we're in Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2020, there are a lot of ways to summon a myriad of monsters to your side of the field. How are you going to summon that level 7 monster? And I know you're not going to tribute summon for it, boy. With that being said, some of the most useful tuner monsters in the game, think Unknown Synchron, Jet Synchron, Glow Bloom, immediately become a lot harder to make those level 8 synchros because special summoning a level 7 monster, even 12 years later, is still kind of hard to do, or rather specific. Essentially, you still have to give up 2 to 3 cards to be able to make that level 8 synchro, which typically isn't enough. Now, there are some awesome level 7 synchros, level 6 synchros, and level 5 synchros, but a lot of them have similar problems. Imagine getting a level 1 and a level 6 monster. Still not as easy to get to your side of the field. Immediately in my mind comes Destiny Hero Malicious and a Glow Bloom. TheCaliEffect, you're wrong. And then until you realize I'm right. Not every deck wants to run Destiny Hero Malicious. We're not in 2008 anymore.
Fuck you.
What? I'm sorry, and how many tuners do you play? No, don't worry, I don't wait. How many of those tuners do you play?
None.
Now, I know it seems really bad for Synchro Monsters. Not only are tuner monsters outdated, just like my CD player, they also have to have some level manipulation, and Synchro Monsters themselves require tuners or non-tuners or tuner synchros to be able to summon. But here is this genuine kicker to these Synchro Monsters. The other mechanics in the extra deck just do it better. I mean, let's look at it. Link summoning is essentially synchro summoning without the use of tuners. Until you get the needle fiber, which kind of synchro summons better because it requires at least a tuner and then it synchro summons. I cannot make this up. This card's hilarious. We've been laughing at this for a while. Exceed summoning requires 2 monsters with the same level. And saying that we just talked about how level 4 monsters were probably the best monsters in the game, and Exceed 4 monsters are the best Exceed monsters, you can put 2 and 2 together and see why Exceeds are so powerful. Even Fusion Monsters, Synchro's predecessors, are far more useful than Synchro Monsters, mainly because they were able to keep up with power creep with cards like Super Polymerization and Instant Fusion, allowing you to summon Fusion Monsters to your side of the field for free. It also helps that the restrictions of Fusion Monsters, being able to require specific monsters, have been doled down by a ton. And even the monsters that do require specific Fusion Monsters, well, there's multiple ways to get into your specific Fusion Monster, like Elemental Hero Prisma, which can change its attribute and send the card from your deck to the graveyard. Even Pendulum summoning is easier than Synchro summoning. It's generic, it does what it does, and quite frankly, it's still one of the best mechanics in Yu-Gi-Oh! So good that when we got Master Rule 2020, it stayed nerfed. I think that Synchro Monsters are severely disadvantaged by everything that I said before. And I haven't even started to talk about the flaws of Synchros themselves, because they're rather apparent. Some of the strongest Synchro monsters in the game, like Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier. This card has amazing effects, but requires you to use 3 monsters to summon. Now, back in the day when Trishula came out, this was actually way worth it, but as the Yu-Gi-Oh game progressed, Synchros kinda didn't. This is still one of their best Synchro monsters, and it's about 10 years old. That's kind of a shame. Notoria Beast, being another amazing synchro, is restrictive itself. It requires earth monsters to be able to summon to the side of the field. Now granted, it does have an amazing effect, but since it fits inside of such a niche strategy, it's rarely played. Again, some of the best synchros in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, another card to name, are severely inhibited by their own restrictions. Now with that being said, there are some really powerful generic synchro monsters, but again, we have to go through all of the other steps to be able to summon those monsters to the side of the field and gain their effects. There's almost no advantage to playing a Synchro monster over a Link, Exceed, Fusion, or Pendulum monster in this current game. And to be honest with you guys, the numbers have said so. Since Master Rule 4 happened, Synchro monsters completely vanished. I'm still waiting to find that Synchro monster in an iceberg way deep in the ocean now that Master Rule 2020 has come and the Exceed monsters have attacked. I really don't think that Synchros will be able to do it, but who knows? That Synchro monster can save the world.
So would it be like a waterbender or fire? Is it gonna be the airbender?
Stardust is a wind monster. Oh my god, there's so many fucking parallels to this shit. I think that there's a really easy fix for the synchro mechanic. First, make better tuners. That would probably fix 90% of this video's problems. Preferably, they will be level 4 monsters that are rather generic and give you some good effects. Second, make more synchro monsters. I mean, the more synchro monsters we make, eventually we'll get to those specific synchro monsters that are really good for their strategy. That's healthy for the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. The last thing is, of course, don't ever reprint Black Rose Dragon in a ghost first, because that shit is sexy. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I think Synchro Monsters are some of the most awesome, nostalgic cards, but just like my CD player, I kinda know not to bring them out in public, or you probably get laughed at. If you guys share your admiration for Synchros, post down below in the comment section. Again, what is your favorite Synchro monster or a nostalgic moment that you remember inside of the Synchro era? I hope you guys are having a great day, like I am.
So you said burn the synchro binder?
Wait, what? No, 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 no.
You said they were bad.
You said all of them were bad, so we might as well get rid of them.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I mean, do you still have your CD player?
He's right about that. I'm a CD player.